The Harvest Man won. The fields. The town of Coldwater was the kind of place people forgot existed. Half the shops on Main Street were boarded up, the school roof leaked every spring, and most of the young had left long ago, chasing something better than the smell of wet soil and the sound of crows. Still, every September, the town came alive for a single weekend, the Harvest Festival. It had been running for as long as anyone could remember, a fairground on the outskirts, stalls selling homemade jam and roasted corn, a parade of tractors down the main road. But in recent years, something about the festival felt off. The air was colder, the crows louder, and the corn, taller than it should have been. 2. The Stranger in the Corn. Liam Hart returned to Coldwater after 12 years away. He'd left for college, sworn he'd never come back, and yet here he was, standing beside his father's empty farmhouse after the funeral. The house sat on the edge of a vast cornfield, and even in daylight, the stalks looked wrong. They swayed when there was no wind. On his first night home, Liam heard rustling out there. He assumed it was raccoons until he saw the trail, a narrow path carved straight through the field, as if something large had walked through it in a single line. He followed it until he reached the scarecrow. It was taller than any man he'd ever seen, built from branches and straw bound in twine. Its face was a sackcloth mask, but instead of a mouth, there was a jagged slit sewn shut with wire. A symbol had been burned into its chest, a circle split by a vertical line, like an eye without a pupil. Pinned to the base of the pole was a note written in faded ink. For the Harvest Man. He sees those who take more than they give. 3. The Story of the Harvest Man. At the Rusty Wagon Diner, Liam met May Carter, one of the few people who still remembered him. She worked there mornings, same as when they were in school. When he told her about the scarecrow, May went quiet. "Your dad used to make them," she said finally. "One every year, before the festival. Said it kept the field safe." Liam frowned. "Safe from what?" May lowered her voice. "From him. The Harvest Man." She told the story in a half-whisper, like she was afraid to wake something. He was one of the old ones. A spirit of the land, or maybe something older. Back before the town, back before the church. The stories say he walks the fields at harvest time, taking those who've cheated the land, thieves, liars, the greedy. The scarecrows are offerings, to keep him fed so he won't come for the rest of us. Liam laughed, but it didn't sound convincing. Sounds like a campfire story. May just looked at him and said, "Then why do you think no one goes into the fields after dark?" 4. The Missing Girl. 2 nights later, a girl went missing. Hannah Price, 17, last seen taking a shortcut through the cornfields after the festival fireworks. The police searched for days. Dogs, drones, volunteers, nothing. No footprints. No sign of a struggle. But Liam noticed something new, a second scarecrow in his father's field. He hadn't built it. No one had. It was standing near the fence, where the corn met the forest, and its sackcloth face was still damp, as if it had been soaked in something dark. That night, Liam dreamed of footsteps in the corn. He saw the Harvest Man, long arms of bone and vine, a face like split bark, and eyes that glowed the color of dying embers. He woke to find his boots covered in mud and corn husks. 5. The Church and the Pact. Liam went to see Pastor Reynolds, the oldest man in Coldwater, who'd been there since before the town even had paved roads. When he asked about the Harvest Man, the pastor sighed. "Your father tried to stop it once," he said. "Thought he could break the old pact. What pact? The one this town was built on. The first settlers promised the harvest man one life every 7 years, in exchange for fertile soil and safe winters. A soul for a season. Liam felt the room grow smaller. You're saying my father knew about this? The pastor nodded. He was the one chosen last time, to make the offering. 6. The Hollow Night. On the 7th night after Hannah's disappearance, the town gathered for the closing of the harvest festival. Fireworks, laughter, music, but everyone felt it, the unease that crept in with the mist. When the final firework burst over the fields, the power went out. Darkness swallowed the fairgrounds, and in the silence, someone screamed. Liam ran toward the cornfields with a flashlight. The stalks were moving violently now, bending as though something massive passed through them. He followed the sound until his light fell on a figure, May, standing motionless before the new scarecrow. It wasn't made of straw anymore. It was made of flesh. Hannah's clothes, her hair twisted into the twine. Her mouth sewn shut with wire. The symbol burned into her chest. Behind her, something rose from the corn, impossibly tall, shoulders brushing the moonlight. The smell of rot and wet earth filled the air. The harvest man. He moved slowly, like he was wading through water, his limbs creaking like bending trees. Liam froze, unable to breathe. The harvest man reached out, brushing the top of the scarecrow's head with one long, root-like finger, and it moved, its stitched mouth trembling. Then the thing turned its face toward Liam. You took what wasn't yours. A voice whispered, from the soil, the wind, the very roots of the field. The land remembers. 7. The Last Offering. Liam woke up at dawn in his father's field, surrounded by trampled corn. May was gone. So were the scarecrows. He packed his bags that morning, intending to leave Coldwater forever. But when he reached his car, something was waiting on the hood, a note, written in the same faded ink as the one he'd found days before. One life for the land. Yours was promised. That night, the fields were silent again. No more rustling, no more wind. Just stillness. A week later, when the neighbors came to check on the Hart farm, the house was empty. The door open. And out in the field, where the scarecrow used to stand, there was a new one, wearing Liam's jacket, a sackcloth face stitched in wire, and a fresh symbol burned into the chest. The town said the soil was richer that year than it had ever been. The corn grew tall. The festival was brighter. And when the wind blew through the fields, some swore they could hear a voice, soft, distant, and hungry. The land remembers.